This is Wordtris for Game Boy. Released in 1992 courtesy of Spectrum Holobyte and Real-Time Associates, Wordtris is a game where you use falling letters to spell out words and they disappeared from the board. The more letters in a word, the more points you score, and if you manage to spell out the magic word listed above, you can clear the board of blocks and start it anew. When you place a letter on top of another letter, the lower letter sinks below and continues to do so as more letters are stacked until it can't sink anymore. Of course, much like any other puzzle game with falling objects, as you progress to higher levels, blocks fall faster, and if you top out, it's game over. Enter your name in the high score chart that will reset when the game is shut off, and a prompt will appear asking whether you want to start a new game, at which point you go back to the main menu, or you can see a list of words that you spelled out over the course of your gameplay. You have a couple options that you could tinker with, a difficulty and level select being the obvious options as they're prevalent in most puzzle games of this ilk, an option to enable a time limit, or the ability to score with repeat words. There's also a number of two-player modes such as competitive, cooperative, and even a fancy tournament mode if you're feeling a bit bold. While tournament can be played with one Game Boy since it's turn-based, the other two modes naturally require a game link and a second pair of Game Boys and game packs to play. So as stated, Wordtris has a simple premise. You spell out words with falling tiles, you get more points for chaining words together, and trying in vain to spell the magic word that'll clear the screen of blocks, only to be handed crap letter after crap letter after crap letter that you don't need. Even vowels seem to be at a premium in Wordtris. However, all is not lost as sometimes special items will drop from the sky to help you somewhat in your endeavors to clear the board. A bomb will clear away one letter tile, dynamite will clear off a bunch of letter tiles, and then you'll get question mark tiles in which you could use the buttons to cycle through whatever letter you need or want for whatever the situation calls for it. These could either be a big help or set you back a bit. Wordtris as a premise is a novel concept, and I'm happy to say that the concept is executed rather well on Game Boy. In some respects, it's no different from any of the other various falling block type games that have come down the pike, just that this one involves a basic knowledge of English spelling in order to get the most of it. Control is fine and responsive, which doesn't seem like much, but I've played puzzle games where control was the drizzling shits, so it's nice that I could move my tiles easily and without much trouble in Wordtris on Game Boy. Wordtris is straightforward in its presentation, with the classic empty well filled with water, easily readable block letters, and the words are pretty easy to make out. The playfield takes up the majority of the display, leaving no room for background accoutrements, which might make the overall presentation seem a bit mundane, but in terms of functionality, the setup is more than adequate and the potential for blurring, at least on older Game Boy systems, is almost non-existent. Not much to say in terms of sound. You have some quaint but serviceable sound effects for various things like moving, disappearing bombs and stuff like that. Wordtris does have a modest selection of musical cues that may or may not be the same tunes you get from the Super Nintendo version, and unfortunately you're not quite given the best of music coming out of a tinny Game Boy speaker. At best you have tolerably bland tunes of average quality to serenade your spelling sessions, and at worst you have barely tolerable tunes of below average quality. You do have the option to turn off sound if it's really getting to you, but on the whole, this isn't the strongest audio quality to come out of the Game Boy handheld.
Ass!
Overall, Wordtris is a somewhat clever little puzzle game that combines aspects of Scrabble with the traditional falling block puzzle game format that begat Tetris, Dr. Mario, and other titles. It's a bit of a quirky little title that might not appeal to everyone, but it's an interesting idea done well. It's fun for short bursts, and if nothing else, you might discover words in the English language you never knew existed, so it makes for a nice little edutainment diversion for lack of a better term. All in all, Wordtris is a pretty good game that's worth checking out if you're into puzzle games and spelling, and one that I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of for smartphones and things of that nature because it would be a good fit for that kind of market, but that's just me.